Hello aspirants, welcome to Ekam Academy. You all are aware that on the eve of Independence Day, generally our Prime Minister of India hoists the national flag at Red Fort. So in this particular video, before going into what is the highlight of the speech of the Prime Minister at the Red Fort in the recent Independence Day, we'll understand what is the significance of hoisting the national flag every year only in the Red Fort, right? So what is its cultural importance and why we have chosen that particular area, and then we'll understand what are the key highlights of this particular speech of the Prime Minister and other things from information which is important from your examination perspective. So first, let us see here. We'll be discussing what is the highlight and what is the significance of this particular Red Fort, along with what is the secular civil code referred by the Prime Minister of India. Let us understand in detail. So here, if you see, this syllabus forms part of your GS paper 2 polity and constitution and some historical aspect also, right? If you see, current Prime Minister of India, that is Narendra Modi Garu, so he has almost hoisted the national flag on the eve of Independence Day for the 11th time. So this is the 11th time, and if you know who is the Prime Minister that who have hoisted the national flag for more number of times, let me know in the comment section. So on this eve of occasion of Independence Day, you all know Prime Minister generally hoists the national flag at Red Fort. So why we have chosen Red Fort? That means, so for example, if you have seen from the Delhi Sultanate who have ruled India from almost 1206 AD, so the center of power is centered over Delhi. So for that reason, later on, if you see, even after the rule of Delhi Sultanate, we have Mughals also. Majorly Mughals also have centered their administration over Delhi, right? If you have seen, Babur is the very first person or the ruler who actually said Delhi will be the center of power. Then what actually happened, you know, there is some disturbance and all late during Humayun's term, because there will be some rule of Sher Shah Sur also. And later on, when Akbar came to power, so you know, he has concentrated more over Agra in Fatehpur Sikri and all. So then later, after that Akbar's term also, we had Shah Jahan, main ruler of Delhi Sultanate, who actually again has brought this administration back to Delhi, right? So then if you have seen, from then to almost 1857, when we have last Mughal ruler, that is Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was actually considered as the leader of 1857 revolt by Indian soldiers and all the persons at that point of time. So they also have considered that the Mughal ruler is considered as a symbol of the country. At the same time, they also have gathered and they have chosen Red Fort as a symbol. So that is the area where even Babur, when his time was there, he said that the Red Fort is symbolic presentation, or you can say symbolic cultural symbol of entire Hindustan, right? In that way, he has praised the importance of Red Fort, right? That was not actually constructed at that point of time, but he has centered that particular idea again in the context of Delhi. That means at that point of time, staying in Delhi and ruling from Delhi is nothing but a cultural symbol of Hindustan. That is how he has described. But later on, in that particular context only, we have seen Shah Jahan building Red Fort and all. From there, we started inaugurating different things and all, and we have started hoisting the national flag. So this is the main thing. And if you have seen, British initially, they didn't focus on Delhi and all, because they have only focused on the port areas like Kolkata, Madras and Bombay, so which is profitable for their trade and all. But later on, when you have seen these persons, even after 1857 revolt, or the Mughals mainly concentrated on Delhi only, so they also have shifted the capital from Calcutta to Delhi in the year 1911. In this context, if you know who is the viceroy who have shifted the capital from Calcutta to Delhi, let me know in the comment section. So in this regard, we have seen now how Red Fort has become the cultural significant symbol for Hindustan, and as per Babur also, like not only Red Fort, Delhi as a whole. Then later on, how Red Fort has become the place for hoisting the national flag on the eve of Independence Day. This is a short description. Now let us understand what is the key highlights of the Prime Minister's speech. So if you have seen here, Prime Minister's speech, as I told you, will be there on the Red Fort only. So if you see, this is almost the lengthiest speech which Prime Minister has given in the third term, right? So if you have seen, what is the key highlight? He has focused on 5 major things. One is secular civil code. So we'll understand what is this. Then he also focused on one nation, one election, which is nothing but simultaneous election, right? So major discussion of this government is also over this particular issue only. Then with respect to women's safety, because you know, in the recent times, very sorrowful situation or incident happened in the state of West Bengal, where a junior doctor, okay, who is pursuing her PG, right? So she was actually raped and murdered. So with respect respect to that also, Prime Minister has highlighted that there is very much need to focus on women's safety, and I'm not happy with this situation. Then there is also a war on corruption as mentioned by the Prime Minister of India in his speech, and then there is also a message for Bangladesh. So these are the key highlights of Prime Minister's speech. In this context, now let us understand what is secular civil code. Secular civil code, what is the Prime Minister mentioned in his speech is, he said it is the time for secular civil code instead of communal civil code. So what is the civil code? So you know, as we have law, and that law is again divided into two types. One is civil law, another one is criminal law. So criminal law, in criminal context, if you see, we have uniform law in the form of IPC, but now you have Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. But in terms of civil law, we don't have uniformity, right? So we have religious personal laws which are occupying their own center stage in the civil law domain. So in that regard, many times governments are aspiring actually to introduce a uniformity in the civil procedures. Like for example, to bring uniformity in the context of marriage, inheritance, divorce, adoption, etc., maintenance and everything, right? So because of this, what actually happens is there will be uniformity, religious discrimination, gender-based discrimination, all these things can be settled down. So that's the reason why, if you have seen, even the constitutional framers under Article 44 of Indian Constitution, which is a directive to the state, right? They also have mentioned it is ideal that in case if the state, okay, can secure uniform civil code, it would be good. So that is how they have also mentioned. And if you see in the same directive principles, there is an article called 37, which is saying that these directive principles are not enforceable. Enforceable in the sense, in case if the state is not implementing, you cannot go to the courts for their implementation. And interestingly, only state in India which is having its uniform civil code earlier was Goa. And you know, in the recent times, Uttarakhand Assembly also have passed their own uniform civil code, right? So this is what you have to keep in mind. So if you have a secular civil code, then religious personal laws will be removed, and we have a uniformity in terms of marriage, adoption, divorce, inheritance and all. So then what is the advantage of having a secular civil code is, you will have uniformity, you can keep that idea of secularism intact. At the same time, equality will also be ensured, right? But in case if you are trying to implement secular civil code or uniform civil code, what will be the challenges we have to face is, there can be rifts in the society, and it is also considered as a violation of Article 25, which is giving you religious freedom. It may also lead to some unrest in the society. So when anything which is involving like multiple sections and multiple societies and multiple religions, we need to be very cautious. We need to bring all the stakeholders onto the table. Only if they accept a uniform civil code, then it is desirable. That is also what the mind of the constitutional framers. In this context, let us see the practice question of the day. Which landmark case led to the increased discourse on the uniform civil code? Among these cases, which case is mainly associated with uniform civil code, and what has highlighted the need of uniform civil code? Try to put your answer in the comment section. Then, as we have reached the end of the video, okay, so then let's see the mains question also. Implementation of a uniform civil code is the contentious issue in India's socio-political landscape. Discuss the constitutional mandate, challenges in implementations of uniform civil code. They themselves have mentioned that it is a contentious issue. That means which is debatable and a challengeable thing. So here you have to mention the mandate, what are the challenges, at the same time what are the implications. That means what will be the consequences of implementing a uniform civil code. You have to try in the answer. Then, as we have reached the end of the video, today we have discussed primarily about why Red Fort is chosen as the center of hoisting the national flag on Independence Day, and what is its history we have seen in brief. Then we also have seen what are the key highlights of Prime Minister's Independence Day speech on the Red Fort, right, at the Red Fort. Then we also have seen what is the term that he has mentioned in speech regarding secular civil code, what will be part of it, what are its advantages and disadvantages, along with practice question. So if you see, this is with respect to today's video. If you liked the video and found informative, let us know in the comment section. Thanks for joining us. All the very best.